And today, the International Court of Justice is expected to issue a ruling on allegations of genocide brought against Russia by Ukraine. Among other things, Ukraine has asked judges there to order Russia to immediately suspend military operations launched by Vladimir Putin. So let's bring in the founder and director of the International Justice Lab, Kelebogile Zvobgo, for more on this. Thank you so much for being here. You know, Russian forces, we've seen all of these reports of them firing on civilian targets, shelling hospitals, residential buildings, schools. Russia has denied they're deliberately targeting civilians and civilian infrastructure. And in some cases, the country's insisting that enemy fighters were hiding within the within those buildings. So how strong do you think the case is against Russia?
Thank you so much for having me. The case against Russia is very strong, but I will note that establishing genocide is extremely difficult under international law. Genocide, we sometimes hear politicians and advocates using it more as a political term and less as a legal term as it was intended. So genocide is killing and injuring with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, or other group. And so this is going to be extremely challenging to demonstrate. And Ukraine has brought these charges at the International Court of Justice. In its February 26 filing, it said that Russia is violating the Genocide Convention, which was adopted after the Second World War in 1948. And so we'll see what the ICJ has to say in this matter later today. It'll be extremely hard to demonstrate. We've seen very few genocides be confirmed as such by international courts historically. And so really time will tell in the next couple hours.
In terms of trying to prove deliberate attacks on civilians, how hard is that, given Ukrainians have picked up arms to defend their countries? So we're not just looking at official military members fighting on Ukraine's behalf, but also these kind of ad hoc militias, normal civilians, at least they were before, who are now armed and fighting. Does that complicate the situation?
To a degree, I think it complicates the situation, but they are still civilians. They are not wearing, let's say, insignia that would demonstrate that they are part of a militia. They are not formally part of the military. And so they are still civilians trying to defend themselves. And so in this regard, there is a strong case to be made against Russia for trying to destroy the Ukrainian population, in part because of its nationality, because of the commitment to Ukrainian statehood. And so we have seen this aggression by Russia. An important part of the case also that I'll be looking out for today is a decision on Russia's own genocide claims, because Ukraine says that Russia falsely alleged genocide and used by Ukraine and used this as a pretext for the war. And so if the court judges that these allegations are baseless, that provides a legal basis for cessation of military intervention by Russia. Whether or not Russia actually does cease operations remains to be seen.
And how much does this ruling by the ICJ matter? Could Russia just ignore whatever happens?
Russia could ignore whatever happens. So one of the challenges about international courts is that essentially they are delegates of states. And so they are only as strong as the states allow them to be. And the International Court of Justice has no independent powers of enforcement. In fact, it relies on the United Nations Security Council to enforce its judgments. Russia is a permanent veto-wielding member of the Security Council. And so it could absolutely veto any attempts to enforce compliance with the International Court of Justice's judgments. Now, could there be alternate means for accountability with the assistance of states that are part of the Security Council? Sure, they could implement of their own prerogative, but really the Security Council is hamstrung in this regard, because Russia, again, is a permanent veto-wielding member and would veto any compliance order by the ICJ, which depends on it for enforcement.
All right, Kelebogile Zvobgo, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.